welcome back to Inside Launchpad number 4.
Actually, something that a lot of people, or let's say a lot of devs, they just don't understand, or they undervalue that thing, which is okay. Technical, that language and that framework, right? But how can you bring it life? How can you benefit from it?
We can't talk about the last year without actually giving a massive shout out to Coders HQ, right, guys?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, definitely they have been supporting us massively in all of our events, let's say.
From what I've learned, if you can't do anything, just do what you can and everything else will come through. Then eventually afterwards, you're going to do everything that you can.
But when you want the best experience, there's only one place that you come to. And where's that, Ebraheem?
Launchpad.
Hey, set him up, we knocked that out of the park.
This specific event, we felt something unique. They came in, but they are not the same people when they came out. Something have changed, definitely.
I see people get tensioned and pressured there, but at the end of the events, I see the results and people seeing the outcomes and how Launchpad mindset works.
If you change this feature, it's going to change from a commercial entity to a social enterprise.
Yep. Yeah.
And like developers had never thought of that.
And they say, okay, these doesn't matter. Actually, the code doesn't matter. And this is something that, sometimes I just, at the beginning, just don't get, right? Because the code is the code of your product. But then what he says, right? The logic, the way of thinking is actually the most important thing. The code is just a tool, right? Why not? Why doesn't a lot of, let's say, other people or other communities just don't teach that? There are a lot of communities right now, they teach coding, right? But they don't teach the business technical aspect.
Asil, do you want to go first? Because if I give the answer to this, I'll literally end up annoying 95% of the other community. Hi guys, welcome back to Inside Launchpad number 4. 1 year after Launchpad has started. I'm Saif, Rana, one of the co-founders of Launchpad. Today we're going to be talking about everything that we've done over the last year, what it is, the people we've helped, some of the amazing stories we've got, and what it is that people can look forward to for the next year of Launchpad. So over to my right, we've got Asil. Asil, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm also Launchpad co-founder and helping Launchpad in doing design works and with help of Maya and other team members, doing the post, Instagram posts, application UI UX designs, and many more stuff.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And we've also got Anas. Anas, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure guys, I think we've met previously. So, my name is Anas Abughazaleh. I'm a co-founder as well from Launchpad. I focus more on the dev side and also help in multiple ways in the community as a whole.
And then finally, we have Waleed. Not finally, I forgot my name.
Yeah.
That's literally like the entire story of LPM not forgetting about me. We've got Waleed. I'm sorry, Ebraheem.
It's all right.
Ebraheem.
Good.
Right.
Waleed, good.
So, hello everyone, my name is Waleed Alrashed. I am a developer in the Launchpad. I help with the development side alongside the brilliant Anas Abughazaleh, as well as Ebraheem and other developers. It's gonna be great.
And then finally, on this episode, we have Ebraheem. Ebraheem, introduce yourself.
My name is Ebraheem Alrawi. I'm a computer science and engineering student, and I'm a developer at Launchpad here, working with the best of the best developers out there, Waleed Alrashed and Anas Abughazaleh, and working with a lot of very cool people out here at Launchpad, such as Saif and Nasiri.
Okay, thank you very much for those compliments. Okay. So guys, what is it that, it's been a hectic week, hasn't it?
Sure. Yeah.
It has
been a crazy week. LPOW and stuff like that. That's been absolutely crazy. You know what? My voice is still recovering from all of that talking that we've done. Does anyone want to give a rundown of LPOW? And then we can take it from there. Asil, maybe?
So LPOW, as it's Launchpad Anniversary Week, and we started with GITEX as we started last year, and this year is our anniversary was in GITEX. We started with lots of events that we had on the Coders HQ booth, and we went through and we meet lots of people there, lots of familiar faces that participated on the Launchpad events. And also we go through the Launchpad premium events called Countdown, and Saif was doing it all along, how we can build the product in 8 hours. That was a massive launch, like we show in Launchpad how we can do the things and how the production will happen.
Yeah, so I mean, Launchpad anniversary week, 1 year to the day since we all started. I mean, you guys can go back and watch all the other content that we've got on YouTube to get the backstory and things like that. But the point is that we wanted to prove to everyone that you could launch a product within 24 hours, and how it is you go about doing that, and the frameworks that we've picked up and things like that. You know, go back and watch the early episodes and you'll get all the context it is that you need over there. But anniversary week was kind of just like showcasing to people along the way that this is exactly what you can be done. Like all the build up that was done, the events that we did leading up to it to sort of upskill people. You know, when we initially came up with the idea of Launchpad, myself personally, what I was thinking when I said we should do a hackathon but make it like a SaaSathon, you know, my idea was that I was gonna showcase to people, okay, this is what you do under tension, this is how it is that you make the decisions, this is how one small development decision can completely change how it is your app gets pitched, how your app gets viewed, and this is where all the errors are, this is where you can cut everything out, and this is what you need to focus in on for your first version, right? Obviously, as we've got to know the community more and more, it was like obvious that, okay, there's like a step that's missing or several steps that are missing. That's where we were like, okay, we had Launchpad corners, we had like seminars, we had syncs, our meetup, you know, share your next chapter, or share, you know, so there was so many different things that, you know, and avenues that we created over there, launch alongs as well. But when it came down to L Power, and when I was putting together the itinerary for the week and I, you know, put my ideas forward to the team, I was just like, I want to do what I do day in and day out. You know, take an idea here, hold it here. Like that was it, right? And, you know, I was like, I want to do it in front of everyone. I want to showcase. I want people to come along. I don't want to do a beginner event. So the entire, like, even the way it is that we structured the anniversary week and stuff like that, with all the talks that we were doing at GITEX, it was kind of like, if someone's never heard of Launchpad, you can come down and you can, you know, see the talks, you can get a really good idea. It's kind of like training, right? For the entire process. And then when Countdown happened, I think I was the happiest guy in the room. You know, but yeah, it was fantastic to be able to showcase to people exactly what it is that you can do when you start thinking right. You know, and Countdown, I think, is undoubtedly like the biggest success in terms of event and engagement after the event. And like even tomorrow, you know, well, when we're recording this is, you know, before, but like it's gonna come out. But like tomorrow we've had to do a follow-up event called Countdown 1X, right? Asil's been very adamant that we call it 1X and not 1.1. Asil does a lot of the branding stuff and makes our ideas look great for everyone. So Asil, we thank you for your work and what it is that you've done. But if you do another circle design, right, I'm going to throw myself out of that window that's there. What is it? My God. But, you know, that event, Countdown, was one of the most intense that we've ever done. I think everyone can agree, and anyone that was there was like, it was the most intense in terms of like that true business pressure. Right, but then for so many people to come back and say we want to come back and have another event like this, and that's going to be tomorrow at Countdown 1X at Coders HQ, and also we can't talk about the last year without actually giving a massive shout out to Coders HQ, right, guys?
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
sure.
Yes, sir.
You know, this is such a crazy, like, you know, it's such a amazing amount of support that we've gotten from there and from the community and actively engaging with it. maybe Anas can talk a little bit more about it since he loves Coders HQ so much and the Wi-Fi there doesn't give him any issues whatsoever.
Absolutely not. The internet is fantastic there. So Coders HQ basically is an initiative from the Ministry of AI itself to initiate a platform for all the developers and coders within the UAE to just gather around and find some space where they can get some coffee. Very interesting coffee. I'm sure everyone in Launchpad at least definitely loves coffee a lot. So it's a platform where people can gather, where people can have some technical talks, some hackathons together, some chit chats, and maybe find your own group where you can just focus on developing some apps. So that's in a nutshell what Coders HQ is. And definitely they have been supporting us massively in all of our events, let's say, and Launchpad specifically. So that's some part of it, yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, Ebraheem, like, what's been your experience?
Honestly, I've learned a lot from like Launchpad over here, because back when I just started here, I was like, wait, what are we supposed to do? How am I supposed to implement a generative AI application? Wait, what am I supposed to do? And then like after a while, I realized, wait a minute, this is normal. This is fine. I can do this. And then I just went ahead. I learned, collaborated, and mentored a lot of people out there. And yeah, it is pretty much just my experience here is like I learned a lot more from Launchpad than pretty much anything else out there. So yeah.
It's great to hear, you know what I mean? And there's it was getting to know you as well, like through Coders HQ as well, right?
Yeah.
And then in the lead up to the first SASathon, I remember you were joining all the Launchpad corners.
Yeah.
You were asking like a lot of questions. If anyone actually goes back and watches some of the Launchpad corners on YouTube, you'll actually see that like I was like, Ebraheem, I'm backing you to win it. I'm backing you to like really from the beginning, because he was starting the app like well before. Right, like well before anyone else, and there was all these little tips and hints that we give everyone along the way. People that engage with us, they get all of that information and things like that. So, it's been fantastic watching your journey. Like you're still at university, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like that must be really interesting to see the dichotomy between like at the same time you're at university, the same time you're doing something over here which is very much in the startup sort of business technical sort of realm. What would you say would be like the biggest thing that you've learned?
Wait, from the hackathon or from like the entire experience?
Just the entire experience.
The thing is, right, so from what I've learned, if you can't do anything, just do what you can and everything else will come through. Then eventually afterwards you're gonna do everything that you can from that point onwards.
Yeah, it's the idea of momentum. And this is one of the things that we teach, is that a lot of people, they have their action thresholds jacked up so high, before they're wanting to start, right, Waleed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that the process of us explaining to people, look, you don't have to have it over there, you can bring it down to here and you can start, and momentum just carries you forward and takes you forward. Waleed, what about yourself and your experiences? I think yours is quite. I mean, you were from the first. You both were actually on the team, right? From the SASathon team.
Yeah, I met him there.
Yourself with Zain and Osama, I think it was. So like you guys were there, and we brought you in because we were like, wow, this performance was like great. What do you think? What do you think from your perspective? Like that you think the greatest value that you've taken from Launchpad is?
Right. So I'm gonna mention two things actually. The first one is the thing you always say, which is go from technical to business technical, right? Yeah, which is actually something that a lot of people, or let's say a lot of devs, they just don't understand, or they undervalue that thing, which is okay, technical, that language and that framework, right? But how can you bring it life? How can you benefit from it in a business matter, right? The other thing is that I learned from you and from the Launchpad as a whole is you don't have to wait for like 1 month, 1 year, 6 months, like they say in a lot of YouTube tutorials and playlists. You can just start right away. You have an idea, just validate it, have a POC or proof of concept under 8 hours. And this is actually what we teach inside the Launchpad. So it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and that's what the great thing I think has been is that people realizing, because over here you've got a lot of people, especially amongst the coders, they might not necessarily have had exposure to startup, culture, things like that, just getting things done. Like over here it's very much like, okay, you're going to go work in a corporate, this is the structures and procedures that you have. It's very different, right? And with corporates, obviously there's quite a lot that gets added on, which is what I mean by added on, if I'm going to be specific, is that there's quite a lot more you have to do to bring a feature to life and to launch it, because it has to be one piece of a whole, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is something which it requires a level of control in order to be able to guarantee the quality that is being delivered at, so there's a lot of best practices, a lot of procedures and things like that, right? The thing is that when you're starting a startup, a lot of people don't realize it, but it's not one piece that has to fit into a whole. That piece is the whole. It's the whole thing, right? Yeah. And you have to grow it and grow it and grow it, right? So in its infancy, it can be something that is, very stripped down, cut down, and you're gonna grow it as you go along. You're gonna iterate upon it. You're going to, see whether people find the idea valuable or not. It's like one of the biggest things that we were talking about, which is how it is that you produce value, how it is that you can go out and find value, so you're not guessing along the way. I think in the debate I said this so many times, but it's the concept of how is it, does this idea warrant me working on this more, doing another iteration loop on it? I've done this much, I've put this out into the world, right? This is the effect I'm expecting it to have. This was the results that came forward. Does the results demand, or does the results earn from me the right for me to continue working on this and growing it, right? And then after that, if the answer is yes to that, then it's okay. Do I continue along the direction? Do I adjust it or do I change it? Right? Based on the data that you get back at each and every single step. And this was something that in Countdown, it was done in like rapid fashion, the beginning ideation form. Asil, what do you think, like your experience of watching that Countdown ideation? Actually, I want everyone else to go around it and then I'll give my opinion at the very end, right? So let me give the preface to this for you guys over there. So basically in Countdown, it was 8 hours. We had to launch an app by the end of 8 hours, right? Well, Launchpad, so we like to use AI and everything. So it was a case of we would very quickly deliver the mindset, stuff like that. Clock starts and we have to pick an idea. Everyone mentioned ideas in the room. We ideated it, we walked through it. We then applied our framework to it that we've got. And then it was about building it, right? So that's basically what it was about. And it was a race against the clock. One person completed it with about 3.5 hours of dev time. Everyone else finished with 7 hours, with 18 minutes left on the clock. Let's go one by one, because this ideation process, I think it was, from what everyone else has told me, it was the stuff of legends. From the feedback, everyone's like, there was a massive roasting that took place, but it wasn't a roasting. I would say that it was a different thing. But Asil, what was your viewpoint on that?
Yeah, I've seen at the first, people, because all the participants that they came to Countdown was technical people, and they have this idea that is, okay, we are coming here to build a product. They didn't thought as, okay, how I can make it or monetize it or make it like a business. What happened was, on the day, once they start ideating, maybe the idea was good about the product, but as a business, it was maybe too big to start or not too specific. I see people get tensioned and pressured there, but at the end of the events, I see the results and people seeing the outcomes and how Launchpad mindset works. So I think it was a great experience for everyone, and also for Launchpad team to see, okay, participants are coming and seeing like the technical people are getting the business technical mindset. This is what I can say. I want to see like what other Launchpad members also think about it.
Whoa. Everything's fine.
We'll keep that in.
Sure, yeah. So Countdown is one of the I think it's the most unique event. And Launchpad, we offer multiple ways of engagement and multiple, let's say, events, hackathons, meetups, even some lunch-alongs. But one of the most premium experiences is the Countdown. Within 8 hours, a bunch of developers would sit in a conference room or a specific room, find some ideas, pitch these ideas to one another, try to roast each other maybe. We would try to, let's say, make sense if the idea itself has a business potential or not.
See if it stands up to scrutiny.
Definitely.
If an idea can be defeated by words and thoughts, right, it's not worth building, is it?
It's not worth building, definitely. So it was quite a, let's say, a unique experience. Multiple people have been giving, and majority of people usually have ideas. And when they start sharing it and find and understand the value of it, and the many ideas might seem initially right and interesting, but in practical scenarios, it's not. After debating and, let's say, voting on a specific idea, which is the most valuable one, we would just, all of us as developers, get together. Something should happen, 8 hours should pass, and an app should be developed, and working demo should be developed by end of the day. We wanted to put the audience themselves in an actual life scenario where they can, by the end of the day, develop an app, seeing the whole process themselves.
That's the most honest answer you're ever going to get. So, Anas, to actually answer the question then, what did you think of the actual process, the ideation, where we went through all the ideas and how it was for everyone?
Sure. From my point of view,
it's such an honest thing.
We usually always observe the audience to see their level of engagement. This specific event, we felt something unique. They came in, but they are not the same people when they came out. Something have changed, definitely. As Saif mentioned, at least a huge amount of the participants wanted a follow-up event just to taste, let's say, the same experience again and try to understand and just ingest what they have seen through the event. So definitely it was a very educational experience for them. They have been able to see a new aspect of how ideas come to life and how the ideation process itself can be done. Not only be done in weeks or months, it can be validated in 8 hours max. So definitely it has been very unique for them. Growth, personal growth, knowledge growth as well. The connections they have made there was all unique experiences for them. So definitely.
Well, I have to say something, which is when a lot of the developers came in through the event, they had an idea, okay, we're going to build an app in 8 hours, but it's going to be just a prototype, right? So I've actually asked a lot of participants what they thought about this. Okay, yeah, we're going to build an app, we're going to build a prototype, but it's not a full-fledged app. It's not a working demo, let's say, right? It is just the design, and there are some clickable buttons here and there, but that's about it. But they have, after 8 hours has passed, we've actually built an app, right? It was an actual demo, and the functionality of the idea that we had in the event actually worked. So that experience of people, coming to the event, they didn't expect that we're gonna build an app, we're gonna release it, and they've actually released it. Yeah, which is fantastic.
I believe that with the I forgot the name. The countdown, the countdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe, like, from the countdown event, I think this is from my point of view, I think it's a very unique idea. Like, it actually shows how, like, some ideas are, can be validated by others. You can just ask everyone else about your idea, and then you think this would be a good idea, and then from from my side of view, I think.
Yeah, I mean that, like, you know, what it is that I think that you're trying to say over there is just that how someone can categorize the idea in something which is possible to execute for them now. You know, well, the first step is whether you should or not execute it, right?
Yes.
And then the second step is that whether you can execute it, right?
Yep.
And then the third step becomes, is there a version of that can be executed in 8 hours? Right? Like, that's like the process. I think that's what it is that you were saying, right, Ebraheem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, that sort of viewpoint. I mean, the thing is that you're on a countdown. That clock is ticking.
Yeah.
You have to be so direct, you know, with everything. You know, for example, I mean, one of the first things that I said to everyone at the beginning, right, was that, like, look, guys, I'm sorry if you guys get cut off, but, you know, we'll progress down a certain line of thought, but we're on a countdown. And that clock was ticking.
Yeah.
Me and Asil were actually grabbing the mics and going, you know, throughout the entire thing, right? We just randomly grab them and just start, you know, like just mimicking, you know, something ticking down. So that sort of tension is quite oftentimes is what it is that you're going to find in business. You can't replicate it anywhere else. But it's the speed at which you start moving at. And it's really interesting, like, for me, you know, when I'm up there, because obviously, like, I presented the entire event, right? Completely destroyed my voice at the did GITEX, all 5 days at GITEX, right? And then after that, then, you know, was talking for like 8 hours non-stop. But the point of it, and the pertinent point of it, was this: is that when you start getting very direct to the ideas, right, and you start really getting that language down, it's really interesting, the shift that I see personally when I'm looking at the crowd. Like, I know that you guys generally, like, you're mentoring and you're amongst everyone, but, like, for me, it's like a wave that you see. Like, it's like a wave where you notice like this, like, lock-in that ends up happening, where people realize that this isn't just an ordinary event. I'm gonna have to get something out of here, you know. And then that process starts where it's like, all right, give me an idea. Give me an idea, give me an idea, give me an idea, you know. And then it's like, okay, how can you break it down logically? What's ended up happening? And although people might say that it was a roasting from a certain perspective, it actually wasn't. Because look at it, like, we were so quick through all the ideas. Okay, you can do this because I don't want to give away some of these ideas, because some of these guys are actually trying to build these ideas. But, like, you know, okay, you can build this, you can't build this for this reason, you can't build this for that reason. You could build that, but because you've got this feature, you'd never be able to sell it the way you want to sell it. You know, there's that one point when the app that we were building that I thought, that I spent so long explaining this, actually, in the countdown, was that if you change this feature, it's going to change from a commercial entity to a social enterprise.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and, like, developers had never thought of that. I said, no, it won't. It'll be the same. I goes like, look, okay, I'm the client, right? I'm the person that you want to sell this tool to. If you tell me this, I'm going to answer you by saying that, okay, why the hell would I even pay for this service then? If you take this feature out and you change it to that. Then he goes, okay, why don't you change it to this? I said, now you're a charity. Like, really small features, you know, like nuances that people don't get, but they only make sense once you're going on the journey, right? It's about getting them on the journey. It's about getting beyond ideation and showcasing to them that, okay, now you're on the clock, now you're working, now you're going through everything, you know. And for me, and my perspective, I think that the way that people were still coming forward with ideas, you know, they're still coming forward. This one gets shot down, that one gets shot down, this one's like this. And you're seeing that they're getting the point, right? Which is, the first point that I think defeats a lot of developers is the emotional aspect of everything. You know, like they think that everyone has to accept an idea. They think that their idea is the best idea. You know, on Launchpad, how many ideas have we built? Like overnight, Waleed.
A ton of ideas, right?
You know what I mean? Like overnight, right? Like there's been like projects where like people have like reached out to us and they've been like, we need you to build this tool for some proposal that we're doing. You know, can't mention the entity name or anything like that. And literally like we found out on the Friday, we built it on the Saturday, tested it on the Sunday and sent it to them. And then they demoed it on the Monday morning, right? Wherever it was that it got demoed, you know. So that was something that, like, you know, you can bring ideas into form, and we've built so many ideas. The important thing isn't building the idea, it's having the muscle to be able to get it down, to understand that, okay, now I need to move a little bit quicker, now I need to be a little bit sharper in these areas, you know, how it is that I can have a high quality idea. Like people have like one idea for like a product and that's it. I find that absolutely hilarious. Personally, I'm like, you only had one idea? You know, like one thing, like it's a journey, right? Like how long are you going to spend building the same idea? Like build something, do something, you know, get into the motion of just constantly building things. So yeah, I thought that initial sort of period, I think, like, you know, when it was like go and everyone got up and you had all that motion going on and then, you know, that energy that was there and how motivated everyone was, that level of engagement that was there, you could tell that people could see that this was something that they're gonna get an actual experience, you know. And since then, like, I think it's absolutely insane that people wanted an additional event the next week to come back and to do it again, you know. And that's something that personally I've not seen over here in the UAE. Has anyone else seen that?
No, to be honest.
Yeah, so but yeah, Countdown was something very special, I think, you know. But Asil, what if someone else wanted to do Countdown?
Well, I see Countdown needs people that actually got the mindset and brings it like out there. If that mindset is not there, and if you did something like a sentence wrong, everything will be failing actually. So because that mindset should be there, and all the points should be like 1, 2, 3, bam, 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 and you have to do it like, okay, this one is done, now we have to go to the next phase. Do it that way, do it this way to be done. Otherwise, all will be failed. This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and actually on that LP, there's like, oftentimes I'll say it to team members as well, isn't it? And it's like, go get this done. You need to be making a decision every 30 seconds, or you need to be making a decision every 20 minutes in order to accomplish this. You know, like, it's like you guys can figure it out yourselves, but just know at the end of 20 minutes, you need to make the best decision, or 30 seconds, you need to make the best decision that you've got. You know what I mean, Anas? So what is it, Anas, in particular, that you think was so unique, right, about it? Like, you know, the feedback and how it is, because Anas, you've been, you know, obviously, mashallah, a very well-established developer. You know, someone who's been around the communities as well. You like to network within the tech communities and things like that. And, you know, what is it that you specifically think about that event and how it is? And how do you think it transforms how people are going to start doing things going forward? Because as we know, and as everyone knows here, when Launchpad does something, everyone else copies and follows.
Yeah.
Down to actually copying our event names and things like that. Thank you very much. We'll send you an invoice later on, guys. What is it? You know, so Anas, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. You've mentioned a couple of key items. One of them I would like to mention again is the journey. So even us in Launchpad, since 1 year we have been on a journey, shared journey with all of us as a team together and individual journeys, and we were able to give the attendees of the Countdown experience of that journey within 8 hours.
Right.
So yeah,
so that was quite short.
That is not the honest way, right?
Anas is thinking about something else. Waleed, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. say? It's like a lot of people when they finished the countdown,
Right.
they finished it, and they wanted the 1.x, like
No, 1x, not
1x.
1.x, not
Yeah.
1.1.
I see
No
developers
no
wants to
points.
make.
Yeah, so definitely there is something changed, and that change in the way of thinking, or what we like to say, the launchpad way, right? And that is the most important thing. Like, hey, you can build it on your own right now, and that is the, let's say, the most important thing of it.
I see Countdown like unique because it's like a hackathon, except instead of having like multiple opponents who have way higher experience than you, and you like with hopes that you're not gonna get it to the top, instead it's like the only competition that you have is time, and then you have the like other people that can help you as well. And like this is like it teaches you that even if you cannot, even if you don't know how, there are other people that know. And
Yeah. I think that it is a competition and it is a hackathon, but everyone's coding it together, right?
yes,
But it's not about teaching people how to code, because let's be honest, if you went and coded like that in a job or in a university sort of environment, I mean, like 100%, like you'd fail or you'd get fired.
yeah,
One of those two things, right? It's about the mindset. 100%. Like we've said this at every single event. Don't worry about the code. The code doesn't matter. What matters is the mindset that's producing the code, the mindset that's telling you what to do step by step. Like the first thing we do is that like we start off at like the highest level of like the problem statement. We define it better and better and better and better, and before you know it, we've actually got like an entire diagram of what we need to build, how we need to build it, so on and so forth, right? Our DTW, data transformation workflow. So like is the mental framework of how you can start from the very high level of what problem it is that you're solving, and then it goes down how it is that you're going to get that value through the various different stages. So it's about showcasing to people that it's actually who you're competing against is yourself and your thought process. Yeah, and that's like so key. It's something which is absolutely, I think that, when anyone comes onto Launchpad, the first thing that it is that, I will specifically do as well is showcase to them that like, okay, what is your thought process? Show me your thought process. This is where the inefficiencies in your thought process are. Waleed, I mean, like you came with, I would say, a lot of ideas and a lot of things of what to do. Actually, I would say something. We were once in Youth Hub in Emirates Towers when it was Youth Hub.
Yeah.
I think it's going to become the Creators HQ or something now, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
And Waleed came in whilst like some of the LP members were there chilling, and like he came in with an idea, and Waleed got the first taste of Countdown then.
Yeah, I did.
And like everyone else was like, what the hell did you just do? Right?
Yeah, it's because the way I see the code, or just programming in general, right, is that I have to have structure. Like, because I came from, I wanted to do clean code. I want to do, the waterfall thing, the Scrum, all of these things about software development. Yeah. And then when I introduce these ideas to Saif here, and they say, okay, these doesn't matter. Actually, the code doesn't matter. And this is something that, sometimes I just, at the beginning, just don't get, right? Because the code is the core of your product. But then what he says, right? The logic, the way of thinking is actually the most important thing. The code is just a tool, right?
Yeah, I mean that it's just what is the core of the product in the eyes of your customer?
It's the value that you produce.
The value that you produce, right?
Yeah.
The code is just a way to get there.
Yeah.
Like you could do the same thing in a very unscalable manner, right? Like for example, let's just say you built a tool and it was the world's best emailer, right? Like you could have it all done through computer code, or you could have it all done through, let's just say a postman service or something like that. Someone turns up at the door, gets on a plane, flies over there and goes and posts it, right? If the effect, right, and the value delivered is exactly the same, the customer's never going to care, especially if the pricing is the same as well. You know what I mean? One's a lot more efficient way of getting about doing it, but the customer will never care. All they care about is just how easy is it to use, how much is it going to cost them, how much value does it bring.
The customer don't care about the framework that you care about as a developer.
Yeah, so it's like one of the first things is how can you make your technologies and your infrastructure that you have available to you subservient to you. Because it's like guys have come to me on Launchpad, can we do this? Can we do that? What about this? What about? I'm like, listen, go utilize whatever it is that you want. Like you come to me with Laravel and like PHP and MySQL and all that sort of stuff all the time,
Shout
right?
out to Laravel.
That's hard.
If Laravel ever want an ambassador, right, Waleed's your guy.
Taylor, I'm here.
Oh, is it? So if they ever want an ambassador, like Waleed's your guy, you need to, get on it with that. But like, look, like it's always my answer, my response has always been the same: that you can use whatever it is that you want. It doesn't matter. Can you bring it into form quickly, right? So that you can test it quickly, so you can do something with it quickly, so you can see whether it's worth going on, the full journey, and the technology being subservient to you and not utilizing technology as a tool. People don't see it as a tool; they see it as them, like developers in the early stages and stuff like that. Yeah. Like you would never see for example, I don't know, like a kitchen knife as you, would you? It's just something that you knew, right? Or a butter knife or something like that, or a fork, right? You know what I mean? Like, it never comes up, comes out a part of the whole. But I look at it like, what it is that you can do with that. Let's get away from knives before we start talking about murder and suicide. What is it? But I look at what it is that you can do with it, right? You could do anything. The question is, what are you going to apply it to?
Yeah, I want to give a real world example about this. And this is something I learned from Launchpad, or the logic of Launchpad, which is because I work with servers, right? So I used to be like, I want to have a cache server, elastic cache, and I want to have a separate database server, right? And then
someone dropped their phone.
Yeah,
was it me?
Yeah. And then it turns out that a lot of developers community on Twitter, especially the Laravel developers, right? They say, okay, you just need the VPS, right? You have one user, just do the thing, design the idea that you have, and you can just care about technology later, right? Your server doesn't matter. The people, your customer, you don't care about my servers, right? You don't care what technology I use.
Just give me my server.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and it's like the costs as well. Like people aren't aware that everything's got a cost. I'll just use a server, I'll do this, I'll do that. And they're like, wow. No wonder you think that you need $500,000 to start your business. You know what I mean? Is that look at everything that you're adding and how many users are you actually going to have that are going to be paying, right? Like build it for something that can help you demo to one person. Then scale up your services, do an iteration loop. If you have to rebuild everything, it's fine. Every step of the way, the longer it takes for you to put it in front of someone, the greater the risk is for you.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of infrastructure investment, monetary investment, like time investment. People what people don't understand as well is the psychological effect, right?
What do you mean?
You're going on a journey, right? And it's kind of like you're crossing a desert. How can you make sure that you have enough water, enough fuel to make it across? Like you've got a limited amount. Oftentimes you don't have enough because if you knew everything that you'd have to do step by step to go on a startup journey and have a successful, exit from there, you wouldn't actually make it because it's actually really difficult. But it's 100% one of the best things you can do, right? You know what I mean? So you don't really have enough, but you think you have enough. You have to find all the oases along the way, right? That help you okay, there's some water over here, there's a rest point over here, I can stop over here, I can get there. You have to find them points. The longer it takes for you to start getting into feedback and iteration loops with a startup, the longer it is that you're driving in a desert, running out of fuel, consuming all your water, things like that. You need to be able to stop, analyze, reset, go again, stop, analyze, reset, go again. And the psychological effect of, imagine if it's such a long play. It's such a long play, right? And it doesn't work out. And it's your first time doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like, what would that do to a person? You know what I mean? Is that it makes it more difficult. There's things that you can do that make it easier for you. And that's one of those things, is that, like, you know, get it down and get it where you can start, you know, working, get it where you can get people to start giving you feedback. And that's like what it is that I've always thought of. I mean, one of these ideas was like great that came up in the countdown. You know, it was from, was it Adam? How do you say his name? I don't know. I'm really bad with names, by the way, guys. But, you know, his idea, I won't mention his idea specifically here, you know, but it was a great idea. The problem was that in order for him to be able to sell it, he had to prove that it'd be effective, right? To prove that it's going to be effective, you need to go out and get years worth of data. So it's something that is, you know, if, for example, he wasn't a first-time founder and he had access to that ecosystem and he's been through it before and he's built up the contacts from maybe having a different startup, like, it would be significantly easier for him, right? It's a great idea, right? Right idea, right place, wrong time. You know what I mean? He needs to go through like a different sort of journey, right? To get to that point where he can make that the second time round. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that you have patience, right? And patience runs thin a lot of times. Like, you have to be so patient when it gets to this journey. So the idea of you're going to constantly iterate, so you have milestones that are closer together. So you're like, okay, I feel good, we got that. I feel good, we got that. And you got data along the way. And you can see if it's not going to work out like a mile before it doesn't work out.
Saif, it's interesting that you mentioned the timing, right? Because basically you don't have a lot of time to validate your idea, right? Yeah. Isn't that the same thing? Don't you think that is the same thing about when university students in particular, they go down through this rabbit hole of consuming courses indefinitely, right? So you don't validate your idea, you just want to say, oh, okay, I want to learn this, let's learn it through a course. So that is actually, you know, spending a lot of time on one thing rather than coming up with your ideas that you can validate in real time.
Yeah, I mean, that is what matters more to you at the end of the day. You know, if you're going to start a business or a startup in any way, shape or form, if that's what it is that you're about, you don't really want to be just like messing around in theory constantly.
Yeah.
You know, like, is the antithesis of what it is that you want to be doing, right? The only thing that matters is what the customer thinks of it. Does it deliver enough value? If it delivers enough value, will they pay you for it? Right? You know, and if you can get that money, have you set up the business model in such a way that it allows you to reinvest money into the business so you can create more value? And with the creation of more value, can you then, you know, utilize that to, again, you know, get more customers, convert that back into money, create more value, so on and so forth. Like, people go on like an endless study of things. Like, some business ideas do require copious amounts of study and material. That's fact, right? Like, what it is that we're talking about, this idea just now before, the idea that was mentioned, that, you know, the whole point of what it is that when we didn't do it, the point that was made during the event, you know, during countdown, was that it's a great idea, but you can't get hold of the data it is that you need to be able to be, you know, for it to be effective, right? You know what I mean? Like, that requires a more patient build-up. So you have this idea, and yeah, people will go into like copious amounts of study and like things like that. You know, university is like a different sort of thing, but it's like, what is it that you want? Like, how is it? Even universities, you'll have tests by the end of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the test for a business?
Success. Is it bringing money or no?
Well, yeah, is that like, is someone willing to buy it or not?
Yeah, because if it's not, it's like you said, right? It's a charity thing. You provide value for nothing.
Yeah. And like, look, you might have a social enterprise, you might have something that's kind of like a charity, like anything in between, right? Like, you have business and charity, and you have all these shades of grey in between. And it's okay to like want to build somewhere that's anywhere on that spectrum. I'm not saying don't do it. Like look at the LP Quran project that LPs like help to support along the way.
Yes.
You know what I mean, right? And that's another fantastic project. But so you can do anything on that scale. The question is do you have the focus that you need to be able to test it along the way, to be able to quantify it? Like, is it working? Is it not working? What do I need to do? Like, so many people come forward and they keep asking questions, but what about this? Why shouldn't I do this? And they want to delay just building something. And what I say to them is that, why are you trying to predict a business into existence?
Just do it. Yeah.
Like, you're going so far down this route, you won't even take the first step and answer the first step. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Waleed, like, you know, some of the sort of ideas that get shot down on Launchpad and like things like that. I mean, like, it's very quick, right? It's like literally as soon as it's said, it's like, no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is why, you know, but the thing is that we always encourage people to come forward, because on our team, like, we're always explaining to each other, like, this is what the idea is, this is what's not great about it, this is what's great about it, you know, so on and so forth. This is something that we have to put on the back burner and things like that. So it's getting people to the point of like, look, just do something, build it, test it, prove it. How many times have people come up to me with Launchpad to get authorization for like a project, and I've just been like, just go build it.
Yeah. And then after they build it, they're gonna say no.
No.
Whoa.
No,
Saif likes to
no,
say
no,
no,
no.
but just to be clear, for a good reason, right? Because the idea is just not feasible.
Yeah, is it like, you know, there's like, this is a really interesting thing, right? Is that there's startup culture and there's builder culture. Like, builder culture is the precursor to startup culture. Right? Because you need people building, right, to have startups. Because when you're building, you're just making products. A startup is a product that could become a business. A business is a startup that made, you know, an entire, it was able to monetize a product in a sustainable manner, and to grow out there and to build the support systems and the structures, so on and so forth, right? There isn't necessarily a builder culture right now, and we've been working very hard on building that. Actually, I think, what was it? Today, there's, how many is it? Like 20 people building this week on the Launchpad community group.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys join the Launchpad community group. You can ask all of us questions. You know, we're available. I myself have given this week, I think it was like 4 hours total tutorship.
Yeah, on Google Meet.
You know what I mean? So like, you know, people can come and approach us. Bear in mind, if you're going to message me directly, I'm not going to respond. What is it? I'll always respond on the group, but if you message me directly, you're just going to go all the way down, sort of thing. Sorry, I just get a lot of messages. But like, look at it. We've got so many people building things right now. People that we're helping, people that we're connecting, all this sort of stuff, like helping to facilitate people, right? Builder culture is something where I know the idea is not feasible. I know it. But I know the person needs to learn how to build first.
Yeah, he needs to go through the journey.
He needs to go through that journey and that process, right? So it's kind of like, you know, if I tell you that it's not going to go anywhere, like in the very beginning, how demoralized, like, how many ideas are people meant to come to me and I keep saying no, right? And then they, you know, so it's kind of, go build it. Okay, now that you've built it. And remember, it's not me who says no. I'm just asking questions, and I'm asking, like, for example, yourself to give me the answers.
Yeah.
Isn't it always that yourself or someone else who ends up saying, okay, I can see why it's a good product, but we can't utilize it right now?
Yeah. So many times.
You know, like, so it's the way of like answering the question, asking the question, right? You know, I'm going to come across as very manipulative in this, aren't I? But it's about getting you guys to realize it yourself, right? Like, not me saying it. You know, I'm trying to get you guys to taste, touch, feel, like, you know, exactly what it is, right? Not just hear and see. You know what I mean? To go like a level deeper, you know what I mean? And then every time that happens, I see it personally with the devs. I don't know, Anas, if you want to talk about this a little bit, but like that clarity that ends up coming, like you understand this is now a sharper version. And now we get people that are like, you know, like for example, like someone will come, like I think it was Ebraheem, was it you who like mentioned that you had an idea? You don't panic. Like, so, yeah, I had an idea. You just look so panicked. But like come up and like they'll mention that I had an idea, but when I thought about it, this wasn't right. Like about it. You know, what do you think might be a way, or do you think we should do something else? What is it that you think? You know, like, so like that learning and that process is happening, and that's something that you can't put a price on that, can you?
Yeah, you can't put a price. It's like the only way you can learn, like some things that can be bought by money, and this is one of them. The only way you can get this is by experience, by
DIY.
yeah, by
DIY.
yeah, like by talking with the people, with the experts about it. Yes, it's not always money, but it's like other factors around it.
Yeah, and that's, but you know, like that's totally it. You know, I mean, that's what it is that people get. And it's about going through the ringers. Speaking of ringers, and what is it? What do you think has been over the last year the most interesting experience? Not including Countdown, because I think we've like mentioned Countdown to death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, you know, well, maybe including it, who knows? But like, what do you think the most interesting insight that has been along maybe your journey, seeing it and like stuff like that, or other people's journeys, whatever it is? Like, what do you think that is?
One question, but very deep question. So we can look at it from different angles, honestly, in different scenarios. One aspect of it definitely is going the journey next to someone who's competent. Is and shout out to Saif, Rana himself, is definitely a very unique, let's say, experience. You grow as the people around you grow as well, and you can see in different scenarios how you can tackle it in different ways. That's one aspect of it. The second item is that almost good amount of developers themselves, since we're talking about the development community, already have the skills that they need, but there is this kind of blocker from them jumping to the next step, is from like being technical to business technical and trying to approach more the entrepreneurial sphere itself. So just from, and this can be shown, has been shown clearly in the Countdown especially, and since we've mentioned that, but also during all of our events themselves, that there are specific ways when you start thinking in these ways, you can just align the tools you have so they become a tool and you don't become stuck in them, and you can just like jump to the next step and make them serve you and you can use them well, so you can jump to the next step. So a different aspect of it as well. Yeah, but definitely, and each second time I'm being asked this question, I will have definitely another angle for the answer.
Yeah.
Saif is amazing.
I'm just like very, very tired. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm absolutely shattered. What is it? Yeah, you know, Waleed, from your perspective.
Well, apart from Countdown, is the first time that I met you guys, right? It's just in the Setathon.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I met the number one developer here, Anas. Thank you. So yeah, that was definitely like a big event. That time when I met you, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, that time I learned how. Okay, I can make it. I can do the product in 8 hours, and at the end we didn't win, as I can remember, right? Yeah. Even though there was like the judging team from a lot of, I'm not gonna mention who, but a lot of entities that we can't talk about right now. But yeah, that was pretty good. Saif and Asil. It's interesting that a lot of what we talk about here is related to business technical, right? Like you have the skills and just build something. In your opinion or in your view, why doesn't a lot of let's say other people or other communities just don't teach that. There are a lot of communities right now, they teach coding, right? But they don't teach the business technical aspect.
Asil, do you want to go first? Because if I give the answer to this, like, I'll literally end up annoying 95% of the other communities. Let's see if you want to go first on that.
Okay, I think we need more people that has like business experience by themselves. Like they run like multiple businesses and startups, so they have that mindset or some type of business skills they can provide to other coders. Mostly right now, the other communities, they are helping to become, which is good. It's good. We need more coders actually to be able to do. Once they learn the technical launchpad and the communities that are doing the business can help them to become the business technical. So we need to reach to the technical aspect of it first. So those communities are helping them right now to become a technical person as a coders or developers or any other ideas, and communities like Launchpad can help them to become a business technical person to launch their startups and their ideas. This is my perspective. I need now Saif's perspectives that is really cool about it, I think.
Well, everything Launchpad does, everyone else copies, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
They all copy. Like, you know, I won't say anything more than that. You know, there's a lot of people that attend our events and, you know, there's things like that, you know, so, you know, everyone's watching, everyone's copying. And I think it's a form of flattery. There is a mandate to have more coders in the UAE.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? I think it's a great mandate. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a lot there that is, you know, people are coming forward and they are, you know, helping to build communities in like many different and wonderful ways. Right? And one of those ways is like career path development. There's a lot. Yeah. So like there's a lot of people that are really good, right? And they really understand the career path development choice and what it is that you need to do. And they've structured like fantastic courses around it. And they're really, really great. Right? But that's one part of the equation. Like, you know, the other part is that you can get people more upskilled. How are you going to create the jobs? You know, and one of the items is that, well, you need more companies, right?
Sure.
You know, so that's part of it. You know, you need more companies. You need to be able to do certain different items. Things like, things like that, right? More companies is going to bring about more jobs, which means more people are going to want to get upskilled.
Yeah.
Right? It's like further upstream or downstream, depending on which way you look at that statement that I've just said. Right? It's all linked. The point is that, and you know, for example, if I was to take one of my companies in the UK and move it over here, there's significant cost involved, right? I mean, like, not everyone's like, you know, going to be able to pick up, shift and move over here. There's significant investment. Microsoft just announced like how many jobs and like how many millions of dirhams that is going to be investing into the economy to create so many jobs.
Many millions.
You know what I mean? Like that's, you know, a significant investment on their part. Not everyone's able to do that, right? Not every company is able to do that. So you end up with a bottleneck. The number of companies and the amount of jobs that those companies can create versus the investment that they have to put in. If they're putting an investment in, they're going to want an ROI, right?
Yeah.
So what's the other like solution to that? It's a startup culture. People that are born and bred here, or people that are living here, active over here, you know, solving the problems for this region by building products that are valuable for this region, right? Like that's like that's one way of being able to do it. And the startup culture is inherently linked to sort of like the upskilling culture, I would say. You know, like, for example, like, you know, I'm 30 years old, alhamdulillah, and like, you know, had many different technology companies and things like that. I know that I can walk in, right, to quite a high level position in many different places if I wanted to, right? I know that if I was to go down the career path, right, I wouldn't be there because I know where it is that I started from. I know how going down the startup path made me learn a lot more about application, got me contributing and talking with people that were at that level, right? That at that level that I can now come in at 30 years old. It would take me a lot more longer in terms of years to get to that point, right? So that's one thing. Like if you're gonna go down the startup path, you're gonna get a lot of experiences where if you want to go back into a career path, you can do that. Right? Like you still have that option because you're gonna be just picking up a whole load more things. You're gonna get a completely different perspective on things.
So if you fail at startups, hopefully not gonna happen, you can come back.
Not if you're on Launchpad, helping people, making use of the community on Launchpad, you won't, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. So you still have a way forward, right? Like another path that you can take.
Yeah, is that like look at the experience that you can get. Like, let's just say like you ended up like saying that you wanted to create a startup that I don't know, created like an AI avatar of someone, and you were able to use that. Imagine the amount of experience and application you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Like and let's just say that AWS had a job for someone, and like that role had that specific use case. You could talk about that in its entirety. Like you can talk about how you understand that, you would need to utilize the person's photo, how the image photo needs to be good, how the servicing needs to be good, how the server needs to be set up in a certain manner. Like, all the different workflows that need to happen, where your error losses are happening, how you need to store that data, how you need to present it back to the user in real time, because you'd have to figure that out. They'd be sat there, right, looking at you, thinking that like, wow, this guy knows how you'd have to interact with all the different elements of the team,
right,
with this one application, right? Is that like you get so much further ahead because you understand how to work as part of a team, and that's like a really key aspect of it. So like you can go and you can try it, and all it takes is like your weekends and stuff like that in the beginning, right? Like if you failed, you can like you've learned so much from it. But to answer your question, like that's what startup culture can do. It's basically like an extreme sport in terms of upskilling, because you have to learn so much more than the tech. You end up becoming like a more well-rounded people. Like, in the UK we call it soft skills. Mm-hmm. Understanding how it is that you'd fit in, communication, things like that, delivery, all this sort of stuff, right? Your soft skills, your personal skills. You end up developing all of that. You get a holistic view, you become more well-rounded. Now, to directly answer, other people, they might be like trying to do the same thing in terms of like startup delivery and stuff like that. What experience have you got to be able to showcase it?
Right.
Have you sold a company? Have you exited a company? Where is it that you're drawing from, right? Like on Launchpad, I've gone through that experience in its entirety, right? Hardware and software companies, technology companies, right? There's people on there that like, Ebraheem, you're a university student. You don't have any of that. But you're part of, like, you're going on the journey, right? Like we're helping you on the journey. You know what I mean? Like there's an entire like network of people where you have people that have done the journey, understand the journey, and people that are going on the journey, and you get all these different perspectives. Like if someone comes onto Launchpad and they want help with something, they might start off talking to Waleed. Before you know it, they're chatting to Asil about design and branding, and then they end up getting passed over to Anas, right, about some kind of deployment or something, and then they end up coming to me and like doing something over here, and then they might go on to Shahir, who'll be like, let me introduce you to XYZ, like Shahir Taifoor, UAE coding ambassador, Golden Boy Codes HQ, shout out to Shahir. Yeah. That's actually quite hard to say, shout out to Shahir. What is it? SOS. There's a lot in terms of that, is that where is that expertise coming from? There's like people, to a certain extent, and they can do whatever it is that they want to do, and like I'm fine with it. Like it's helping everyone, like people are getting an idea. But when you want the best experience, there's only one place that you come to, and where's that, Ebraheem?
Launchpad.
Hey, set him up, we knocked that out of the park, my guy. What is it? So yeah, I hope that's sort of. So yeah, you've seen like a lot of this startup stuff like happen, but it's about tangibles, right? Like even the very first podcast that we released is all about tangibles. All our events, idea to tangible. But
that is all about, let's say, business technical, right?
Yeah, like to a certain extent.
How much technical is enough to join the journey with the Launchpad? What do you think?
Like Launch Along 2, we had a 12-year-old, wasn't it, Asil?
Yeah.
Come along and like didn't know any coding, built the entire thing. Like,
yeah. We also had like a lot of different age groups. I remember from the last event, not the countdown.
Yeah.
If you remember.
Yeah, we've had like listen, like we get like crazy, like it's like all the way from like I think the youngest we had was 11 years old or something. Like she turned up with her father or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and her father sat in the event as well. You know, all the way up to like I think maybe it's like 55. It's the oldest that we've had, or 57, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that there's a wide gamut. Like, the only question is that like, and this is one thing that I always say is like, show some heart, right? Who's got the heart? Because anyone can do it.
So even if they are not that deep into technical stuff, they can still do it, right? They can still come into Launchpad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, look, like one of the great people from the DCD event that we did in August, was it? I wasn't there at that event, but I got to meet her over Coders HQ's AILAR, right? And like, not technical at all, but she's finding a way to bring the idea into life. I was speaking to her and I was like, look, you're not, okay, you don't have the technical knowledge. This is how you could accomplish it without the technical knowledge and get to the point where you can bring in the technical knowledge as and when you need it for her business idea. Again, I won't share the business idea over here, but like she was like, oh, okay, like, like I think Anas, you were there in that session, right, that we were doing, where like we spoke about it. So it's not about technical knowledge because you can learn it because it's a tool, right?
So do you think this goes both ways? Even if you're on the business side, you can come to the technical side and vice versa?
Yeah, because AI makes it even more possible.
Agree.
Was it Isham took the countdown event and he took like basically the spec we ended up creating from the DTW and he put it into like Cloud Sonnet and it made it in like 3 minutes. The full working app, right? So if anyone wanted to do it, they could have actually finished it within like 10 minutes probably. You know what I mean? Like 8 minutes to write it up and then, load up your laptop, boot it up, get onto, log in.
Get your coffee.
You know what I mean? Yeah, get your coffee. You know what I mean? Maybe share some Instagram reels and then, you type it up and then, you press send and it takes 2 minutes to come back and you test it and everything and it's done. So like AI is going to be a great accelerant. It's not about the code, it's about how you think.
Yeah.
Like Steve Jobs never knew like anything technical, wasn't it? It was Steve Wozniak that created everything, wasn't it?
Yeah. But then Steve Jobs came in and like showcased how great these stuff are.
But he knew how to drive that quality of product.
Yeah.
Like he knew how it was linked to human psychology and the tactile experience and how to bring it in, into form and all these kinds of things, but he was never technical.
Yeah.
But he knew how to control it.
I mean, like when it was first announced, like there was no app that had like a touch screen without a stylus that can go for like, you can do all the services with internet, phone, and other stuff. I mean, this was like at the time, this was one of a kind. Like,
Yeah, I remember like iPhone was just like when that got announced. I mean, there were like other touchscreens there, but it wasn't like that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like a particular vision. And even then, it's quite like iPhone was very iterative over the years. Year to year to year to year. There's never been like a really big. Like I had like the original iPhone, right? Like, I remember buying it, seeing it, and being like, "Wow, that's cool." I might be showing my age here. Maybe some of the people watching this weren't even born when the original iPhone came out, right? But I remember having that, and then it went to the iPhone 3G, and I got that one, and then yeah, like well, not all of them. I mean, like I started to see sense when the prices started going up, and I realized this is quite. I mean, like nowadays with mobile phones, I'll be honest with you, like I'll switch it out like after like 3 or 4 years, to be honest, because I'm like, what's the point in like just switching it over? Like it's fine, it does the job. So much of the photographs that we take for like LP, like people are like, oh, it's such a great camera, what you're using. I'm literally like my iPhone 13 Pro Max. Like no, like what you're not there. No, that's literally it, right, guys? You know what I mean? So, that's by the by. But like you realize is that like you can be very like look at everyone's all about iterative now. And the scales and what it is that you can come up with. So no, you don't have to be technical or business. Like to be honest, I hate the term business technical and
You hate that term?
yeah, like I know I use it, but like it's kind of like something that helps people to understand it, but like I cringe a little bit.
Okay. Okay, so what do you want to use instead?
No, it's like it doesn't need to have a term.
What is it?
It's a tool, right? Like your business acumen is a tool. Your technical knowledge is a tool. You know what I mean? Is that so? But it helps people to understand the journey to go on, right? But like, as you get further and further and further and further, like, it just doesn't matter. Like your technical knowledge is your technical knowledge. Like, and it's me and you were talking about this in the car the other day, weren't we? About just like how
Many topics. Which one of them?
like being functional with knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about like different approaches and like, like how it is that, I'm very functional with my knowledge and stuff like that, you know what I mean, and things like that. And you were talking about, do you want to chat about just how it was that you were before, where you were like collecting quite a lot of like courses and things like that, and then what it is that, I was saying maybe like that.
This ties back to what Waleed mentioned definitely, is that I myself was also trying to, especially during my uni days, just taking tons of courses, and I studied mechatronics as well, so the courses I've been taking are a bit too technical, I would assume. After a while I've been into this kind of infinite loop. Technology is moving fast, things are changing. If you don't use it regularly, one thing, you can forget it. Second thing, there is a new technology which can replace it. So, and instead, of course, with time, and especially after joining and not joining, but like co-founding Launchpad and going to multiple experiences and journeys individually and together, we came truly to understand that it's a tool at the end of the day. So you need to view knowledge, any kind of knowledge you have, whether it being business understanding, how to network with people, how to sell items, how to develop a certain app. All of them are tools which you can use, and you need to understand what's the goal intended and what the tools you have, so how you can use them properly to reach that goal. So this is a better thinking, how you can, let's say, and this is closer to how Launchpad tries to handle the knowledge of the individuals. Don't get stuck on the item itself. Understand how to use it to allow yourself to jump to the next step.
Yeah, and like, that was buttoned up. What is it? Something squeaked over there, isn't it? Nigga, a bit of WD-40 on that. But something, and a lot of people, like, it's just that there's so much knowledge and it's an endless loop, right? And I just think to myself that if I understand how to apply it, then there's so much more that, we can, sort of understand, right? Like, if there's knowledge without any application, I find it quite useless, right? Like, I want to, like, understand that, okay, like, when in the first instance, I'm kind of like, okay, show me why you're worth me learning you. What value are you going to bring to me?
You're talking to the course or something that you want
To the
learn, right?
tool, to
That's
the
just like
knowledge
my
itself,
mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, make it subservient to you. Like, show me why you're worth me learning you. Like, what is it about this particular sort of thing that's going to help me? What value are you giving me?
Wow.
If you're always thinking in value, like if you always think about how you're getting value, you'll understand how to create value, which means that you'll understand how to give value, right? Yeah. Value, right? Everything's all about value. Like, remember guys, what I said like at the beginning of Launchpad, like if you create enough value, monetization becomes insanely easy. And you guys have seen that on LP. You know what I mean? How we've just always optimized for value. So it's kind of like, a lot of people will like read and like that's like everything it is that you can do, and that's great and that's fantastic. I'm all about application, and it ends up being that in specific use cases you'll end up going to like so much depth. I mean, I know we don't really talk about like technically what it is that I do and stuff like that, but like on LP, some of them meetings, they'll get very, very technical very quick.
Yep.
When we're talking about how it is that we can break down, like when we've got to get something over the line, what it is that we're doing and how we can break something down, like I'll be right in there, like, we need to use this technique, that technique, this one potentially won't work, and like it'll go very technical very quickly, even with Isam and like, the research papers that we'll share backwards and forwards with each other and things like that. But it's all about like, how is it functional to you? You know what I mean? And like, it's a different sort of viewpoint. A lot of people like to collect like certificates and papers and things like that, but that's
one
a
aspect,
different story.
one aspect of it where you mentioned, especially at least from your let's say,
This table.
we need to nail this in the
Yeah.
ground like the.
definitely. So truly being intentional when acquiring more knowledge is definitely a good thing to be doing. But when you're being intentional and there is a certain goal you're trying to reach, especially when you have been implementing certain technologies in your businesses, then you would go and try to learn a specific technology, and you would be so deep in it that you're seen as an expert in that field. So being intentional about why you need to understand this knowledge and being able to implement it in practical applications definitely makes you excel.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to like start wrapping this up, but I think I'd button it up, this point by saying that what is the depth within which that you can get, right, with this sort of technology, right, and what is the depths within which that you can sort of get to, like if you can really understand that and like really drive for that, that's like one of the most like key things that you can get to. So like like you can go deep in technology, but like what is the effect that you're trying to have? Because like one of the things that programmers think, right, is in terms of how we're going to get there, how we're going to do it. The how becomes more important. A programmer's job is to take conversation and produce an effect via coding.
Yeah.
Right?
Agree.
Like, for example, you might make an emailer that's better. You might make an AI chatbot. You might make this and then, you so on and so forth, right? A programmer's job is to take conversations and produce an effect via code. Right? That's the medium that you're using, right? So getting yourself geared toward what's the effect that I'm going to have, what's the effect that this knowledge is going to have on me and things like that. It's a very, very key thing. But we're going to have to start wrapping up soon. If the first year of Launchpad was the year of the sort of, how can you call it?
Growth.
The year of sort of growth and just making people aware and just sort of getting the message out there. What's the second year of Launchpad going to be in us?
Well, so it has been about the growth and spreading awareness, how to do things in a competent manner. So definitely within the second year, we're going to see an actual results from people trying to implement their ideas and it coming out to life. What do you think, Waleed?
Yeah. You see, in Launchpad, we like to overuse the rocket emoji, right? Yeah. So definitely watch out for the projects that the community is gonna build, and then you're gonna see the effect really, really soon, inshallah.
And watch out for the events as well. These events can be will be a lot crazier than last time.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too much crazy.
Not too
We've
much.
had some pretty crazy events. Oh my god.
Not that crazy.
Like the launch along, right? We had to literally book out like 2 spaces. Like we like
Yeah.
overfilled it so
On the
much.
spot.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, let's not do that again. Asil?
So I think Launchpad now is on the point that is established and official for people how they can use. The community is there. People are seeing, okay, this is the Launchpad mindset, this is the Launchpad value, how we can start it. It's the point that community is seeing it right now. Even the Launchpad team now, they are seeing how they can start, how they can make the things they have in their minds. So now is the time that the rockets are ready to launch. This is what I can say. Again, rocket, yeah.
The second year is all about startups. Right? Like, this is a year where we've spent a lot of year putting in a lot of infrastructure, strategic partnerships, things like that, like really going out networking, upskilling everyone, creating the different types of events that everyone can use, understanding and getting our processes like really nailed down. This next year is where like people are gonna 100% see a clear difference, in what it is, because it's going to be about getting startups out there. So if you've got any ideas, tangibles, right? So like if you've got any ideas right? If you've got any startups, if you've got anything that you need sort of assistance on, we've got a fantastic community that you can be a part of. We're here to help you get on that journey and to start that journey. Along that way, there's various different things that we can do to help, a lot of which we can't announce right now. But keep following along the WhatsApp group, keep engaging with us, and we want to showcase to everyone exactly how it is that they can bring their dream to life, their idea to life, their dream to life, and how it is that it can be made easier for them. 100%. So I want to thank everyone for their time. This has been Inside Launchpad number 4. I started with Asil to close out, but let's start with Ebraheem. I forgot your name. I'm sorry, my guy. Ebraheem, what's your closing message to the people?
Be sure to check out with Launchpad. You got us. We can help you with your startups. And also make sure you join the WhatsApp groups and like and subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Plug. What is it, Waleed?
Yeah, keep building, guys. Stay active, and we'll see you on Launchpad.
Anas.
Yeah, we're always around in Coders HQ and Emirates Towers, so feel free to pass by. We definitely can get in more depth discussions, let's say, and help you truly start your new startups and have quite different engagements on that topic.
See you.
Yeah, we are waiting to see everyone on Launchpad and WhatsApp communities, events, and we are waiting for you to brought up your ideas and launch it.
Definitely, guys. So we want you to build the future. We want you to build it now. See you at Coders HQ in Emirates Towers. Thank you.